Hey guys, hope everybody's having a fantastic day today. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I am glad you are here. If you get a chance before we get started, if you're so inclined, please hit that subscribe button down below and also the bell notification icon next to it. The subscribe button will let me know that you're interested in my content and it'll help me out. The bell notification icon will also help me out because it'll show YouTube that you're a human engaged in knife content and EDC content. It'll also alert you when I release new videos. And more importantly, it'll allegedly show my videos to more people. That's what I hear, and I'd really appreciate it. So today what I wanted to do is, I have not been into slip joints or even that aware of slip joints to where I would consider them a potential knife for my collection up until about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I picked up my first slip joint from Traditional Pocket Knives against my better judgment. Didn't know how I'd like it, and the rest is history, guys. I really enjoyed the Ohio River Jack. It did not make this top 5, maybe because it's not one of my newer slip joints, but I have picked up quite a few since first getting that first slip joint about 3.5 weeks ago. So what I wanted to do is, this is early in the state of my collection with slip joints. I think I have 13 slip joints total now, all price points, all different kinds. I picked them out based on things that I liked in the slip joints, maybe a couple of things that I'd seen on videos, but primarily just the look and how I thought it would fit into a growing collection. So the first one I want to bring out is a Boker Barlow from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. It's the actual Smoky Mountain Knife Works exclusive edition. I have several of their Bokers because they had them on sale, still do have them on sale they ranged anywhere from 147 to 160, and the different patterns are on sale for $99.95. And this is what I would call a traditional slip joint. It's pinned together construction, not screwed, has a very thin body makeup, has this kind of burlap micarta with a copper bolster here on the front. The liners are also copper, as is the hardware, and the blade is 01 tool steel. It's an older tool, just a basic tool steel. So this might be reminiscent of how this knife would have come years ago, but what drew me to this knife was the size of it. It's a small knife, so I can get all 4 fingers barely on the grip. Kind of reminds me of a little pen knife that I used to use in my dad's. It has this clip point blade that really does well with envelopes and packages for making small cuts. I carry this in this Epoch skull coffin slip. I got a couple of these on sale on Etsy when I first got it started. Just getting a couple of different sizes, not knowing what would fit what. So the Barlow lives in this guy right here and stays in my left pocket. When I want it out, I just pull it out. Has a nice half stop, nice full stop, make my cuts, put it away. No mess, no fuss. And it's just a great little knife. So number 5 in my top 5 as of today, early on in my slip joint collecting, would be the Boker Barlow Smoky Mountain Knife Works Copper Edition. Number 2 is, oddly enough, the second slip joint that I brought into my collection. Actually, one day after I bought the Ohio River Jack, and this is a Northwood leather slip that Lefty EDC threw in when I picked up a slip from him. This is the QSP Hedgehog, guys, and this is the QSP Hedgehog. And the Ohio River Jack, which was my first knife, which was Austin's knife at Traditional Pocket Knives, is also made by QSP. And I got that sheep's foot as well. But the reason I jumped on this QSP Hedgehog is when I got the sheep's foot, I loved the flat grind. But then when I saw that the Hedgehog that Austin had in titanium, and the only reason I didn't get that one is because for some reason I did not want an all titanium traditional knife or modern traditional. So I went the next great route, or what you wouldn't find on traditional, I went with carbon fiber. But this knife is a very deep hollow grind. It's a very deep hollow grind, and it is in 14C 28N. It has a very nice walk and talk. I'd give this probably a 6. So it's going to be very, very safe in my mind. I don't think it's going to be a knife that you ever have to worry about closing on you. It has 2 nail nicks here, which you can of course use. I will typically just grab the blade when I go to open a slip foot or slip joint. What I really like about this knife is it's fantastic for utility cuts. This little point at the front does amazing jobs, whether you're ripping open packages, whether you're doing some type of detail cuts, utility cuts, cutting carpet, you name it. And it also is great with its flat blade of, cutting paper, cutting cardboard. That hollow grind is very thin behind the edge, has a real nice sharpening choil, and just really makes easy work of materials, whether that material is an apple or that material is a couple of pieces of cardboard on an Amazon box you're cutting down. The QSP Hedgehog is both very slicey and it's very fidgety. And when I say fidgety, I love my modern flippers, and I will sit there and flick them till the pivots come loose. But I also like tactile fidgets. And what I find appealing about a slip joint, besides the fact that it's a very utilitarian tool, I just like the way it actuates and closes. I like the tactile feel between the full open, the half stop, and the close. And they're not all like that. All my slip joints don't have a distinctive half stop, full open, half stop, full close, walk and talk, so to speak. But they are all equally unique, and they're all very enjoyable. But the QSP Hedgehog is a winner. Any of these knives that are going to be on this list, I could highly recommend if you wanted to try your first or second slip joint, or just thinking about getting into slip joints. The QSP Hedgehog and the Boker Barlow, when it's on sale for $99.95, is hard to beat. Number 3 is a knife that was a huge surprise for me. This is the slip that I bought from Lefty EDC, where he threw in the Northwood leather slip from Troy. This is a Master Joda Lancelot leather slip, and it's a clip slip. And Lefty bought it, absolutely loved the slip. Lefty, being a detent diva and having certain things that he likes and dislikes, really did not like the way this clip shoots out like that. He would bump into his truck and things, and he just felt like it was a little cumbersome. He wanted one that flattened down a little more. Well, I was happy to buy it and take it off his hands because it really doesn't bother me. Fits in my left pocket great. I'm not really rubbing up against stuff on my left side, and it fits several knives that I have very well, but the one that I've kind of assigned to it is this TwoSun TS-197. It's got a nice place right here on the end for a lanyard, which with slip joints, guys, I've almost seen, especially using slips, how lanyards could be very functional and helpful, not only in the grip, but in getting them in and out of the slip. So this TwoSun is probably one of the sharpest slip joints I've gotten from the factory. It's also one of my favorites. That's why it's in this video. It's right now sitting in at number 3, but it could jump up or it could jump down. These top 3 are very subjective, even to me. But this is a TwoSun TS-197 that's got this bone handle. I really love the hieroglyphic or the ancient drawing of what I've already interpreted in my brain to be a lizard or a monitor chasing a dragonfly or an insect that it's trying to eat. The pattern's the same on the other side, but it's almost like a side buster feel in the hand. It's just a really smooth, neutral handle, and it's got this blade that's a little bit side buster looking, but not really. It's a Wong design. It's a tall, flat grind, maybe a slight hollow, but I think it's a tall, flat grind. Has an interesting swedge here, the way that the blade turns. I wouldn't call it a trailing point, but I would call it definitely a unique modified spear point something or another, right? But it's got titanium liners, M390 blade, really nice walk and talk, a little bit of a easier, I'd say that's probably a 4 or 5 on the pull. Again, has a really nice sharpening choil. Again, probably the sliciest slip joint that I've gotten out of the box. I've got a little piece of a receipt here, and it just cuts through it like it's hot knife on butter. But I was told about this little TwoSun by my brother Pocket Metal, who's kind of been one of my go-to authorities on traditional knives. And again, this is not a traditional knife. This is a modern traditional because it's screwed together with T8s. Just because these knives are screwed together, I would not recommend taking them apart because they're held together under tension with a spring. And again, this one does have the lanyard hole here at the back, or the lanyard post, which if you wanted to put a short lanyard on it, and then when you put it in your sheath or your slip, clip it in your pocket, you could easily grab that short lanyard and pull it out. But this is number 3. It's the TwoSun TS-197. Fantastic modern slip joint like the QSP Hedgehog. I really like it. Number 2 is a very unique modern slip joint, and it came with this slip. This is a Qvist, the Qvist Vanish. Guys, before I was into slip joints, when I swore 4 weeks ago, a month ago, when I swore I would never buy a slip joint, of all the slip joints that I saw when I would never buy a slip joint, this would have been the one I would have bet all the money in the world I would have no need for, and I would certainly not buy. If it was $80, I wouldn't buy it. If it was $130 like it was, I wouldn't buy it. If it was $50, I wouldn't buy it. I was not a slip joint guy. However, the Qvist Variant PE, which looks just like this knife, except it's about this big, it's a liner lock. Mine is the version 1, so it doesn't have a top flipper. It just has that deployment hole where I can flick it like that. I love that knife. It came with JG10. I put titanium scales on it, and it was a winner. So when I fell into slip joints, and then within 2.5 weeks, I was buying a lot of slip joints. I was picking up a lot of different slip joints. My brother Lefty EDC, I respect his choice in modern slip joints. He has, I think, every Jack Wolf and loves them. But he told me, John, the Qvist Vanish is probably one of my favorite slip joints that I own. It's just so easy to get out. It's easy to use. It's got a 20 CV blade, super, super slicey. He said he used it all the time. It was a great little utility knife, and he did reach for it quite often. So I noticed that Blue Creek Knives still had 2 of these in stock, 2 variations. This titanium with this bronze gold ano with the black blade, and then they had a raw titanium with a satin blade. And I also remember Lefty saying he preferred the black blade because on the satin blade, he had to grab it right here in the opening hole. Not that there's any problem with that, but you can grab the blade with this black wash version and you can get a really good hold on it. Just a great knife, guys. If I was going to say, of all the slip joints I've got out here, and I was trying to convert somebody to be a slip joint person, I would probably steer you, if you didn't have just a huge sausage hand, even if you had a medium large size hand like I do, where this is a small knife, I would probably steer you to this knife just to get your teeth wet on the utilitarian and the usefulness of a slip joint. It does come with a slip, has a lanyard hole if you wanted to make it easier to get out of the slip, rides in the pocket almost invisibly, and is just a very easy knife to deploy, locks open very sturdily, closes up like a dream. Just a great knife. So number 2 in my top 5 in the current slip joint collection. If we do this again in a month, none of these knives might be on here. Or I've hit the bottom of the hole and I'll just start appreciating them all a little bit more. So let's move to number one. Probably my biggest surprise of any slip joint that has come into my collection. It shouldn't be a surprise because the maker, and I've got it in a traditional pocket knife slip. The maker, every knife I've bought from them, I've fallen in love with. I've got the Maxace Babylon. Actually, the Maxace Sandstorm K was my first Maxace knife, and that was the budget version. I say budget, it was $118, D2, but it's probably one of the biggest knives in my collection. Then the second knife I picked up from Maxace was the Babylon version 1, the button lock in titanium and M390. Definitely one of my favorite button locks and one of my favorite knives. It's just so smooth and so well executed. And then fast forward to the Black Mirror, the Maxace Black Mirror. Looked like no other Maxace, looked very understated and elegant. It was a full titanium knife with an M390 blade and a deployment hole. It was on sale before discount for $142. If you wanted it with carbon fiber, it was $148. So I grabbed that knife, instantly fell in love with it, voted it my value knife of the year for 2006. So when I saw a review on this slip joint called the Beetle-S by Maxace, even though it was a larger slip joint, I was very intrigued. So what I love about this slip joint are several different things. For one, it's a modern slip joint, right? It's not pinned together. It's got TA construction all the way around, holding these panels on, these finished panels, and holding the pivot. Again, I would never take this knife apart. If I switched out inlays, I might, but I don't even know if these can be switched out. I know they make different ones on different knives, but this is titanium, very nice teardrop carbon fiber, titanium liners, a real nice, unique spring, because this knife, even though it has a half stop and a close, it's more like a ratchet, to where it's got several distinct stops in between closed and half stop, which is more pronounced. So you've actually got 4 balance points that'll really lock down. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. However, you've got other spots in between there, but I can go straight to half stop and half to close. I have no problem with the actuation of this knife. I think people that are slip joint purists might take a little getting used to, but what I just absolutely adore about this knife is this M390 blade. It's about a 3-inch blade. This knife, I don't have anything out here really to compare it to except a tape measure, which I'm happy to measure it for you. From tip to tip, it's 7.5 inches. The blade's right at, say, 3 1/4. The cutting edge is right at 3 inches, and the handle's going to come in right about 4 1/4, 4 1/8. But guys, this knife has the thinnest blade of any knife in my collection. It's like .070 behind the spine here, behind this little understated jimping that's very, very convenient. It is behind the edge. I don't have the calipers, but it's very sharp. This is a little piece of bent receipt, and I was trying to whittle it, but I don't have enough in my hand to get it just to whittle. See if I can find a bigger piece of paper. Hold on a second, guys. A little piece of Pew Digest here. This is the cover of the magazine, so it's a little bit more thick. I was going to try to actually whittle off of it, but that wasn't really what I wanted to show you. So let me just get a regular piece of paper out of the old Pew Digest. Very slicey, guys. I could literally cut with this all night. And I have cut with it quite a bit. It's processed quite a bit of cardboard. It's cut a lot of paper. It has done a little bit of whittling. It's been stropped, but it has not been sharpened. When it does, it'll be hand sharpened by me. Again, the blade geometry is second to none. It is absolutely just a delight. The satin grind on it looks fantastic. The blade is just, I mean, it's just a lesson in blade geometry and what you can do if you put your mind to it. And Maxace does such a good job. The fit and finish on this knife, from the carbon fiber having absolutely no displacement to the really nice hardware that Maxace uses that you can tell is quality, to the very understated branding that you see on the blade. It just says Beetle-S, Bowler M390. Nothing on the show side except a little finger nick. It does have a little decorative pivot, but it's understated also. And just an absolute win, guys. This knife, and I haven't been doing enough of this. I've got to get better about letting you guys know what things weigh. So let's weigh a couple of knives. So the Maxace is going to be 4.45 ounces. So it's going to be a bigger knife. So our Qvist 2.15 ounce knife. Great little knife. Our TwoSun, this bone and M390, 2.70 weight. And I'm sorry I'm weighing all these at once. I just didn't want to leave them out. And let's look at our Hedgehog. 2.85. So far we're under 3 on everything except for our Maxace. And I don't anticipate our baby Barlow. It's going to be right at 2.10. And to give you guys a little preview of something that's coming up, and it didn't make my favorites because it's a newer knife, but it is this Fox Libre. The Fox Libre is going to get its own review. It's a new knife from Fox. What's unique about this knife is pretty much everything. Came with this little slip, but it's micarta. It has a nice spring at the bottom, but it doesn't have any liners. So that little nice 1.4 ounces. I can't wait to show you guys this on a full review. It's quickly becoming just favorite, because if I look at the concept, which is about the same size, it's 2.2. So again, the slip joints are going to be a little lighter, guys. I'll try to remember to utilize my scale more, so I can give you guys weights when we're looking at some of these reviews. I give you sizes, so I might as well give you weights. I want to give you the information you need so that when I was doing what I was doing, which was trying to decide what knives to buy, you know, people help me out. And hopefully one of my videos will turn you guys on to a good knife. And that'd be reason enough for me to do it. That'd make me just stoked. I appreciate any time you come by and hang at the channel. I love the fact that y'all subscribe to the channel, that you come to my live streams, that you leave comments, that you're interested in anything that I do. It humbles me. I'm appreciative. I'll ask you one last time to please hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon. I'll ask you to please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Please look out for each other and be kind. Go forward with love in your heart. Choose debate before hate. I love you all. Peace.